Okay, so the last video totally wasn't late, let's not worry about that. Hi, I'm Fate, I talk about rent-a-girlfriend stuff. I'm recording again with my friend because, you know, we had a cool dynamic. Introduce yourself, mister.
Hi, my name's Hero, Light 13, aka other things. I'm here to laugh and read and make the funny voices.
Yeah, no, that's pretty accurate. So, I had a lot of theories. They're probably all going to get proven wrong because that's just what happens when you read shit weekly. Yeah, let's just get into it. No more wasting time. Let's mosey. Oh yeah, happy birthday to Hero over here.
Thank you.
It was his birthday yesterday. Yeah.
I'm 28 now. What even is 28?
Oh. Flashback again. Interesting choice, but it makes sense. Driven into a corner, he recalls their promise. Were you able to tell Grandma Sayuri you knew about us? No, I couldn't. I tried, of course, but she said it didn't matter. Once she said that, I guess the moment had come and gone. But somehow, it's still hard for me to talk about it. If we tell Grandma Negami the truth, and she found out we lied to Grandma right up to the end, she'll look at us with contempt. That won't happen. I won't let it. Huh? I'll protect you. I swear I will. He even redrew the scene. Huh. How are you gonna manage that?
I'm going to turn into a fucking shonen protagonist, that's how.
That one didn't age quite so well.
Before I realized it, no. The words had already escaped my mouth. You've got it all wrong. Grandma, everyone, you're all wrong. I was certain at that moment I was the lamest dude in the world. Mizuhara, she's not like that at all. There I was, stuck in a futile struggle. We're actually seeing each other for real. Oh wow, he's gonna... Not the route I expected. Huh.
A not necessarily a lie. Is it both a confession as well as a cover at the same time?
Chapter 223.
224!
The Girlfriend in Paradise, Part 36, Miyajima Reiji. As if I were a desperate knight, and so my final act had begun.
What the hell is this?
I didn't get to tell Mami-chan about this yet, but we've been going out for real. I think it was a week before Grandma Sayuri had passed. Chizuru must have forgotten to mention it too, I guess.
Everybody's just completely thrown off by this.
What? I just thought it'd be awkward to bring it up, that's all. I just can't spring it on you out of the blue, right? So basically, Chizuru never lied to Sayuri-san, okay?
Why would you make that face like that?
Oh no.
Ah, shit. Here we go again.
Listen, you. Do you hear yourself? Do you even know what you're doing right now? Oof. Keep spewing your bullshit like that, and it'll be all over. Everything. You hear me?
Yikes.
Sorry, Kibe. I'm so sorry. I know just how much you've cared about me. I know how much faith you had in me. Didn't I tell you? Mizuhara's not like that at all. But there's no helping it. She was duping everyone? Don't be ridiculous! It's all or nothing. Mizuhara, she's a wonderful person, she really is! Really, what else can I do at this point? Tell me, what else can I possibly do? She's sincere, she's honest. You can think of me however you want. Think of me as a scum of the earth for all I care. She loved Sayuri-san more than anyone, from the bottom of her heart. You want Mizuhara to take the blame? This is all my fault, mine, and mine alone. Do you get it yet? I'll never ever let that happen. She couldn't say no to keep this secret because she was way too nice to do that. No way in hell that's happening. Let's act like we broke up. That's the best move. I'll tell them we broke up after we get back. But if anyone's gonna be a liar here, it's gonna be me. Listen, I can't apologize enough for everything that's happened because I swore to her back then. Mizuhara, I swear I'd protect you. But she's always so beautiful and so kind. And always so freaking cool. That's who Chizuru Mizuhara is to me. And that's why I love her.
He said it.
Damn.
Is...
Then kiss her? What the fuck, mommy? Go on. Kiss her.
Well,
Wow!
Why are you giving away your game right now?
What the fuck?
Why are you giving yourself away right now? Go on.
What, it ended? That's it?
What?
Yo, let's calm.
What is that?
That was too fast. Let's be real. That was too fast.
Yeah, that didn't...
It was perfect, but it was too fast. I feel like it just kind of ended.
I don't know how many pages that was, but that didn't feel like it was that many pages.
20.
That didn't feel like 20 pages, the way everything was paced.
Let's hear what it says. His most sincere feelings put into question by one simple request. Next time, as your provisional girlfriend. But you know what's really funny about this? This is verbatim what Ruka said to Chizuru when Chizuru was just like, oh yeah, no, we're totally dating. Oh, man. Yo, no, that was like, wow. I swear, somebody has to question her about this.
Yeah,
I would just be like, fucking what? So, you have a vendetta here.
Yeah, is no one else, like, questioning how she just went from being, oh, God, I'm so sorry, I'm just a victim in this like the rest of you, and then going straight up to, fine, do it.
You know what's fascinating about all this? It doesn't show Chizuru's face at all in
Yeah,
this.
I've been
I think that's
too.
exactly what he's doing this on purpose. So that next chapter, it specifically focuses on Chizuru. So this is something I didn't notice. Thank you, Sheer Killer, for pointing this out, because I wasn't sure and I had to ask. But as I was sitting down, marinating in the dark abyss that is my thoughts, I came to realize something interesting. The title of the next chapter for next time, it says, as your provisional girlfriend. I wasn't sure if this was referring to Chizuru or if it was referring to Ruka. And I talked to Sheer Killer and they pointed out that it could very well be referring to Ruka, which actually lines up perfectly with something Reiji recently posted on Twitter that I actually ended up making a video about because it sparked a little bit of controversy, as anything that Reiji does tends to spark fucking controversy. The man just lights a fucking fire and says shoot. So this could very well tie into that, as I was saying during this long-winded impression/review, that Ruka might end up getting some sort of redemption arc in all of this, so the chapter could very well start out with a flashback. Again, we're in the flashback segment of Paradise. So, yeah, I think it could very well start out with a flashback, and said flashback is this thing that Reiji shared on Twitter. So that could definitely be what's happening in that. So Ruka essentially has a flashback, she comes to her own realization, and she tries to take some sort of action. You know, this explains a lot, because the leaks for these chapters come out around Saturday, and usually when something big happens in the chapter, to Reddit sends me a thing, and it's like, oh, this is trending on Reddit, and it's usually the spoilers. I don't read them, but I'm just like, oh, that means something's gonna happen. That's usually my assessment. And nothing happened this time, so I guess this shouldn't have come as a surprise. And a lot of what happened last chapter really comes back in this one too, but like what Kazuya is doing here is thematically perfect, because in this entire arc, Chizuru is essentially trying to handle all of this on her own. And she tries to deal with mommy on her own, she tries to deal with everyone else on her own, in the process kind of hurting Kazuya without realizing. It's because she's kind of stuck in her own mentality of, I don't want to hurt the people that I love because I don't want them to look at me with contempt because I lied to someone I cared for, even though that person was very understanding about it.
Right.
And, you know, this whole situation is essentially her worst fears come true. The reason I say what Kazi is doing is thematically perfect is because essentially, even when she hurt him, even when everything went to shit, he still supported her, which is very fitting because that's exactly what she did to him in the very beginning. And to top it all off, it's showing Chizuru that you should have trusted him, you should have trusted the people around you, you're not alone here, you are worthy of love and support.
Yeah, I'm kind of seeing a parallel between this and the whole bar scene and all that. It's a role reversal. It's like Chizuru is going I don't approve of what you're saying about Kazuya. He's not like that at all. And now here, he's literally saying, you're all wrong. Chizuru's not like that at all. Mizuhara's not like that.
So Ruka doesn't say anything, and she's kind of in shock. I guess I kind of wanted to touch on that too. I think this could be a perfect chance of redemption for Ruka's character.
Yeah, because she knows that that's... Okay, she knows that, they definitely have feelings for each other, and they it might be the course that they're inevitably heading to.
I think what could definitely happen is, and this is just a guess, it could definitely be wrong, but Kuri can back this up. Kazuya and Chizuru helped Kuri, like, when he was down. And Chizuru willingly accepted Kazuya's request here. For Ruka caused Chizuru so much pain, so much fucking grief, like, all throughout this. And even when she realized, like, she's falling in love, she let Mami's words essentially, like, warp her perception, because Ruka is young and impressionable. She's easily manipulated.
Yeah.
And Mami essentially felt like a kinship with Ruka. That's kind of why she kind of divulged some of her plan to her, because she's like, hey, I'm making your dream come true. I know, like, Chizuru's doing terrible things to you in this situation, so hey, in a way, you're getting something nice out of this. And Ruka could kind of, like, feel that something was fucked up about that, like, offer. And she even said, like, are you gonna tell? And so when she tells and she sees kind of that last time, she feels a sense of guilt, because like, she's seeing this pain in Grandma Negami's face.
Yeah.
And of course, the whole thing with Grandma Negami that makes this super, super sad is because what she's doing, she thinks she's doing it from a place of love, and she's trying to essentially, like, act about this rationally. So Negami says she's doing this and she can't let this go, but she doesn't pay attention to what Sayuri says the whole time. Sayuri essentially tells her exactly what's going to happen in this scenario, and Grandma Negami doesn't interpret correctly. So for example, she tells Grandma Negami Chizuru isn't really good about opening up her feelings. She's not really good about sharing her feelings. She's not good with that stuff. What does Grandma Negami do? She puts her on the fucking spot, makes her super extremely vulnerable, and just tell her, here, like, explain to me.
Yeah.
So do you see the issue?
Yeah.
And then you have, like, another problem where she's doing this saying that, oh, is there truth to this? The fact that she even believes there's truth to this makes it even more fucked up on Grandma Negami's end, because you've been talking to her this entire time about grief and, like, trying to be supportive of Chizuru. And now the moment someone, like, there's a sense of lie even present, you immediately doubt it. This is because this has always been present with Grandma Negami's character. She's always believed somewhere deep down that this is not true, that their relationship is fake. And you see this in, like, the entire conversation that she has with Grandma Sayuri. Like, there's a great deal of bookending in the conversation that starts from last chapter to this one. And I think there's even a sense of bookending in this one, because while they don't show the outcome of this, look at Chizuru's face. And if you go back to that same chapter that this flashback is referencing, Chizuru essentially, this chapter is where Chizuru finds out that Kazuya loves her.
Get in, loser, we're going shopping.
And Kazuya just reiterated that. And in the end of the chapter, Chizuru literally says, I have to do something. I can't just like let this go. I have to act. So do you see how this is kind of like bookending that? It's coming back to that same chapter, and it's like, okay, now it's Chizuru's turn to act.
Yeah, I get that sense, and I'm sure she's going to act soon. How soon that's going to happen? Like, how many chapters is it going to take? I can't say, because like I said, I could easily see them spending the next chapter just focusing on Chizuru, focusing on her thought process.
Her perspective, everything that's kind of been going on.
And then it ends with a tease that, and now I'm going to start doing something. Tune in next week to find out.
Wait, you think it'll end like that? You think it'll just end like that?
Well, that's how it kind of ended here. It's not.
Oh, that would be rough. That would be rough. I don't think it quite ended like that in this one, because this is one of those chapters where it feels like it flew by, but a decent amount did happen. So for example, it brought up the whole thing. It's like, okay, you're gonna try to lie your way out of this one again. It does show, like, how, like, these characters are not, like, inherently bad people, but at the same time, their approach is completely wrong, and the fact that, like, they're also part of the problem. Because we see how Grandma Negami actually really loves and cares for Kazuya, but her approach is inherently wrong. Because she the way I interpret it, as a person who was essentially lived in this kind of household for some time, she kind of functions around the single mother household mentality.
She's the matriarch.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna say, like, this applies to every single single mother household, but in this sense, the way I interpret it is that because Negami had to do so much on her own, because Negami had such a tough life, she had to raise her child on her own, she had to pay off her husband's debt, she had to like run the place that she had on her own. I think for that same reason, she wants the best for Kazuya, she sees the potential of Kazuya's person, but she tries to push him too hard. And so she's kind of just looking at the objective rather than really seeing Kazuya as a person.
Yeah.
And for that very reason, she ends up hurting him, as I explained when we were reading it back earlier, that Kazuya's family is part of the problem.
Yeah.
Because they essentially oppress his person. They oppress his very character. And so seeing Kazuya like stand up here and, you know, kind of, even though he's like sniveling and crying and being sad, this kind of goes to show that difference here. It's also interesting to point out how Grandma Negami and Kibe are like on the same wavelength, which is really funny because they're essentially both the source of Kazuya's problems, yet also kind of his support system. Because Kibe, as a friend, it says he's looking out for Kazuya, but then he says that like, oh, mommy's out of your league. Oh, Chizuru's too good for you. Oh, do this, oh, do that. While Grandma Negami doesn't believe in, like, the relationship at all. And she's just, like, always on Chizuru's end. She always views Chizuru as, like, a perfect maiden. You even see this in the flashback where Grandma Sayuri says one thing, Grandma Negami interprets it completely differently. Kind of, like, taking away the human aspect of Chizuru because she views her as so perfect and ladylike.
The mental image she's had this whole time has just been like, oh, it's just too good to be true. How could someone this perfect settle themselves with somebody like my dopey grandson and all that?
Yeah, and it's like, you keep talking about Kazuya's potential, you keep praying for his own happiness, yet you say these things about him. I feel like it's a really realistic depiction of, like, families, where we sometimes don't see how amazing a person is until we look at them from a different lens.
Well, it's also, like, it's contradictory, but I mean, lots of families can act that way. They can,
no, very much so. That's why it's realistic.
They can say and believe and feel with all their heart that they want the best for you, but then they could just as easily, like, without really thinking about it, just kind of say some snide things about you, like, behind your back, without even realizing how it contradicts, like, you know, their ideal vision for what you could do. And they don't see how that contradicts because that's just kind of how people work. And when you're in a family, you can kind of have blinders to stuff like that. It's not necessarily a toxic thing. It can be more toxic, but it's just kind of an inherent weakness because how you act around people you're familiar with, your friends and family, is different than how you act or try to respect complete strangers because you feel like you know everyone well enough. You feel like you know a deeper sense of truth than you would with someone completely random. So you think whatever read you get off of them is justified because you see parts of them
that you feel like you understand better.
Yeah. And it's not that you don't. It's just, well, you're still fixating on very particular...
this aspect of them. Yeah,
very particular sides of the character. You're not seeing, like, you know, how that bounces off of other parts of their personality. How Kazuya can be, like, kind of pathetic and stuff, but you're not really noticing until now the huge, like, sense of, like, you know, strength and burden he's willing to, like, put on because something matters to him like this. Right now it's a struggle between Kazuya trying to make his case and to make his feelings known and them still, like, you know, standing on the side of, wait a second, you guys deceived us. So it's like, right now, it's a beam struggle where, you know, Kazuya has to keep pushing, you know, with his beam of, like, no,
well, Kazuya, like,
there.
Kazuya did his part. Now, like, Chizuru needs to be, like, the Goku to his Gohan. But not in a weird way. I know that phrased it kind of weird, but not in a weird... Here, the Videl to his Gohan. The Videl to his Gohan.
Oh, well, there. I like that, because that's my ship right there in the movie.
Okay, well, moving on, we're not here for Goku.
Or, no, we're here for Gohan. I thought that's what we were talking about.
Oh, shut the fuck up. And I think that's just, like, this series, like... It's hard to understand because of how it's portraying its events, because when you're looking at this from just like a surface level, you don't really understand what it's trying to talk about, right? You're just like, oh, this is really intense and there's this whole conversation, the chapter flew by really fast, but there's an underlying theme being discussed, which is just like the real complexities of families sometimes. Like you can have like a family that's not perfect, that's not great, but you still love them and care for them.
Yeah.
And vice versa for them. Like they treat Kazuya in a way that causes a lot of his issues, but they clearly still love and care for him. They just don't see how they're hurting him.
What I'm noticing a lot of days, at least just kind of through, Twitter discourse a lot.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are saying how, like, family cannot be an excuse for everything. That at some point there is a level of emotional abuse that's just so toxic that no, like, you should just throw those people out of your life. No more of this just like, yeah, but they're family bullshit. And what I'm getting at is that, well, it's good that people are bringing that perspective in, and that is certainly true in a lot of cases. I feel like something like this, it's much more of a gray area, middle ground kind of thing, and
that's the point.
It's refreshing to see that, because sometimes, yeah, I get it. There are family situations where, yeah, it really is so bad that, no, you shouldn't put up with them anymore. Not everybody's family situation is like that. Not every family situation is like, it's so bad and so toxic, you should just throw the shit out all together. Sometimes it's more like this, where it's like, no, there is a good deal of love, and there is a good deal of support. There is also, like, unfair expectations being pushed on you, and there have to be, like, kind of confrontation situations going on in both directions like this that get everybody's feelings made and known, and hopefully by the end there can be a better sense of support and understanding at the end of it all. Everybody finally gets on the same page, and there's an effort all around to try to, like, be
improve
better.
themselves.
Yeah, to be better, basically.
The series has constantly hinted at this. They definitely they reference this very thought that you're saying in an earlier chapter where right before Kazuya tries to go and confess to Chizuru, I think it's either 210. I think it's 210. Where Kazuya talks to Negami because Negami took him out to want to talk to him. And she literally says, like, I misjudged you, Chizuru saw things as your grandmother didn't. And, like, I'm sorry for, like, always treating you like this and blah, blah, blah. And right. You see how quickly the turn tables because Grandma I know what I said, shut up. You see how quickly the turntables because Grandma Negami literally, some part of her believed this to be true deep down. So in a way she feels kind of like almost vindicated, but even if it hurts her, that's why in the beginning of the chapter last time, or that's why when she talks, she's so easily willing to accept this negative outcome because, again, a part of her already knew. And I was saying, like, she's depression going into acceptance and hope, but in reality, she's depression, loneliness, and reflection. And she's just kind of marinating in that thought. She's just willingly accepting the negativity here. She's always been skeptical, and it's because of, like, Kazuya's very character. You could say maybe a part of it is because how perfect Chizuru is, but it's like, it's not necessarily Chizuru's fault that you interpret her in such a way, you know? It's not Chizuru's fault that you don't see her faults, that you haven't interacted with her enough times just to really see who she is as a person. But this isn't to say Kazuya or Chizuru are completely blameless, because they did in fact lie. And this is what the series is touching on. It's like trying to be in this very much gray area, where it's like, nobody's perfect here, everybody's flawed, everybody made their mistakes, but we can't, like, judge people by the worst of their characters. That's not how we should really go about judging people.
Although, speaking of characters, their worst parts of themselves being laid bare, again, I ask, is anybody going to, like, kinda get thrown off by just suddenly how mommy bears the fangs like that?
Oh yeah, this shit?
It's like, okay,
that threw me off super hard. Threw me off.
Is anybody going to, like, notice how 180 this is?
It's really fascinating what's happening here, because in terms of Mommy saying this, Mommy has so many contradictions in her character, and I think that's part of what makes her so fascinating and so hard to understand. because a lot of people probably don't get Mommy's whole shtick here. It's like, you can interpret it as she's trying to save Kazuya, and then she goes and says this, so she's like, okay, why are you saying this? When the way I kind of interpret this is like, she's trying to just end this as like efficiently as and destructively as possible. Maybe the way she interprets this is that Kazuya is in denial, and he's just trying to be with Chizuru, and he's just trying to keep this lie up. So she's like, fuck out of here, stop being in denial. So again, I could definitely see this as Mommy projecting her own feelings and negativity here about her life onto Kazuya here, where she's kind of viewing herself, her lack of agency, and willing to go back to that kind of like sense of like loss of control.
Yeah.
So Mommy just kind of wants to take that away. Also, another way you could view it is that Mommy like doesn't like Chizuru having all this freedom despite lying. So it pisses her off that Chizuru can have a relationship when Mommy can't.
Okay, so I could see, her flipping the trap card right now, as it were. I could see it going two ways as far as, like, the reaction of everyone else goes. Either A, some or even most of everybody there kind of notices the strange heel turn and wonders, wait, hold on.
But they don't say anything.
What's this about? Yeah, they don't say anything, but they kind of, like, think it. The other...
Yeah, you get the eyebrows that are like,
but the focus is still going to be on the challenge itself. Or B, maybe they don't question it too much because, maybe...
In the moment, emotional.
Heat of the moment, and hey, like, everybody else got thrown off by Kazuya's sudden confession there, so... Hey, yeah, maybe she's got a point.
It's like Whiplash. It's like Whiplash.
Like, maybe she's making a risk, but it's like the correct risk right now. She's got a scary poker face.
Mommy's poker face is fucking insane. I don't know. I don't think like any of this really invalidates her character. Rather, it plays directly to who Mommy is. But you can definitely take away from like her shit-eating grin from last time that she's a glue-sucking idiot.
Well, yeah, no, it's like she's enjoying it. She's enjoying out of it. It's not like I'm not on some noble crusade. No, deep down, I know this is for my own amusement and benefit.
Yeah, this is for her. It's not just amusement, though. It's not. Like, I don't think it's wholly amusement. Mommy relishes in control. That's the point. She has no control over her life, so she relishes in control. And she takes that away from Kazuya, who essentially, like, she feels doesn't have control in his life, when in reality what she's doing is she's stripping control away from him. And Mommy's whole existence in this arc is a really weird, ironic thing, because on one hand, yeah, she's progressing the plot, quote unquote, but on the other, she created this entire scenario. She created this entire fucking mess, and she's the one who's making it worse by the second. She's the reason the characters are getting hurt and having all this drama and shit. And it's like, the drama is great, it works for the story, but
yeah,
I think that's kind of like part of the issue. And it's unfortunate because this arc, like when you kind of stepped away for a little bit, I can definitely feel that many people kind of started to get burned out, because it felt like Reiji was kind of going in a loop, even though he was doing a great deal of setup and working towards things, and he kind of like foreshadowed many of the events, and he hinted a lot about like Chizuru's feelings and shit, and like we all know Chizuru likes Kazuya, but we also all know that she has a great deal of insecurity and fears, and you have to like compound that with the fact that this entire scenario is essentially the worst case thing for her. That's one of the reasons she didn't confess, or she didn't want to have Kazuya confess in the middle of all of this, because if she gets with him, or if something happens, she's afraid that the family will look at her with contempt. This is why she doesn't choose the smart way out, knowing full well that it is an option, which is to talk to Kazuya than to talk to Grandma Negami.
Yeah.
And like tell them the truth. And she doesn't choose this because she's literally so fucking afraid of this entire situation, because she just got family and now she could lose it all over again. It's interesting how he never attacks Mommy. I really like that too. He never attacks Mommy. She keeps retaliating and fighting back,
yeah,
and he's never attacking her.
Like, is he gonna get a better sense that Mommy is being an aggressor here?
Oh, he's kind of figured it out. He's like, something's really up with Mommy, and I'm curious if Mommy will kind of get her own arc. She might not.
If, like,
we don't know.
Is she gonna be in a position where she realizes, oh man, this was actually kind of wrong, and now I have to start picking up the pieces and start figuring out my life now?
Oh no, mommy's not gonna change like that. No, 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 no. I guarantee you mommy's not going that direct. With a person like mommy, the point of her character is that she has not only been conditioned by her family, she willingly accepted this outcome. She's accepted that she has no control over her life, so you can't force someone like mommy to change. You have to like kind of help them like work through it essentially. Like you can't beat a river into submission. That's kind of the issue with mommy, is like she's so set in her ways and she's so like prideful and just like it's ironically very similar to her dad, who is very stuck in his own ways. Because again, mommy is a byproduct of her own environment. Constant visual symbolism of how Kazuya is moving forward, mommy's walking back. Mommy, like Kazuya keeps talking to mommy and mommy just keeps getting stuck in her own perspective, like constantly flipping the script as many times as it takes to just stay on this. And it really, like, she has a lot of like emotional trauma, emotional issues that she doesn't even fucking understand. If you read mommy's backstory, she doesn't even understand that she's in love. That's how like screwed up she is. She became so disillusioned on like so much of her life that she doesn't even understand when she's in love with a person, because she just interpreted her first relationship as her trying to escape from her family rather than like actually being in love, which she was. She was in love and she did want to escape. It's both. Yeah, like imagine being so intimidated like this, being so attacked by your own family and still choosing to go this route.
Even just how Kibe just lets him go, it's like, jeez.
But God, look at how many shots they give of Chizuru, and they never once show her face. You don't see her face a single time. The only thing you see of her face is this. The adorable eyes, and she's like, I love this dumb fucking idiot. You know when you read this really slowly, it's very emotional. We read it really fast, but when you read this really slowly, it's really emotional. I can't apologize enough for everything that's happened, but she's always so beautiful and so kind and always so freaking cool. And that's who Chizuru Mizuhara is to me, and that's why I love her. No, it's like, everybody even phrases, like, what do you say? Like, it seems genuine. Everyone else seems kind of stunned, even Ruka is stunned. Funny enough, when Reiji first wrote the story, he actually wanted them to be like long lost sisters.
I think that was the best choice to make, to be like, no, maybe don't directly link them like that, but they can still develop a relationship.
Yeah, he's just like
that later on.
It doesn't work. That's why they look similar. That's why they look so similar. Because Ruka, again, really represents like adolescence and innocence. She doesn't like really understand all of this. She's still young, she's still learning. You see it very much in this arc and how she judges people, how she assumes all these things, how she starts to feel guilty about this whole situation even though she's trying to force it. And I think by the end of this, it's like her essentially growing up, but her also maybe trying to be a friend at the very least. And I think kind of maybe that's where this could go. It's like if Chizuru and Kazuya do like have something happen next chapter where maybe Chizuru kisses him or something. And I think what could happen is like they essentially stay as they still think they're rental, not rental, but then by the end of the day, the final day, they have like a real confession, you know? So it's like they resolve the issue, but then they have a personal one. So I kind of have like a more visual path of where this could go from here. I don't know what could happen to Mommy, for example. I don't know like what could happen for the rest of the cast, but it would be really interesting to see what else can happen here. And I don't know why when she says then kiss her, in my head I heard, yeah, that's cringe.
Bro, that's so
It's
cringe.
so mean. It's so mean, but
you're
bro, that's so cringe. You have emotions.
You're audibly sobbing right now.
Yeah, I've always also interpreted Mommy's like black demon eyes as like her cutting off her own emotions.
No, I get that too.
You know what's fucking cool too? Most people don't realize this, but let's go back to the last chapter, because I kind of want to show you something really cool. So you see Kazuya's number here, 125. If you go back to that chapter number, it's called The Girlfriend and the Final Day.
And in that chapter, he was wearing a bracelet that was referencing this chapter.
No, shut up. Shut
God damn it. The damn cheesecake shots and everything.
Chizer's number reads 49. Guess what that
49.
chapter's called? It's called The Girlfriend and the Confession. The Girlfriend and the Confession, the Girlfriend and the Final Day. They're here on a 3-day trip. He literally told us this from the beginning. It's so cheeky. It's so
You know
cheeky.
what else is cheeky?
It's time to stop!
And then Ruka's bracelet, let me pull up her
46.
bracelet, reads 46. And that one is The Girlfriend and the End.
Sounds kind of bittersweet.
But it's like subtle stuff where you don't have to like look for it.
Right.
But if you do, you'll find something interesting, you know? One last thing I did want to mention before, the video ends and all that. Reiji's new manga is coming out soon. In like 2 days, I believe, or 3 days. So
Oh yeah, that thing.
we'll definitely have to cover that on here because I am curious what it's about and what its whole thing is, because I feel like a lot of people are really jumping to conclusions about that one as well, because like the premise seems questionable. It's like forbidden love, the 7 siblings. I'm just like, it seems questionable, but I know Reiji's a good writer. I'm acutely aware of the fact that Reiji's a good writer and he has like interesting discussions about like these gray area topics that many people just don't want to fucking talk about. And in fact, the series is selling well. Like Rent-A-Girlfriend is in fact selling well. So, I definitely think this will be like an interesting. That's another series we'll definitely have to talk about. It's like called the Shunji family, the 7 siblings of the Shunji family or something like that. So, while recording the outro, for some weird reason, I screwed up the audio. So, here we go again. I'm gonna record my outro again. If you guys enjoyed the video, please subscribe with the like button, hit the bell icon to keep up with the uploads. Tell me what you think of this new style. I know it's a tad bit more unorganized and my thoughts are kind of all over the place, hence why I like to write scripts. But, yeah, if you guys did enjoy it, please let me know. If you like our dynamic, how we talk, and all that shenanigans, I hope it worked out. I kept saying before that I would do less edited videos, but never stuck to that. So here we go. They're slightly less edited videos. This one should take me a lot less to make, and it should be out on Tuesday. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, again, subscribe with the like button, hit the bell icon to keep up with the uploads. Of course, share the video if you like, or something along those lines. And of course, follow Hero on Twitch if you're interested. I'll leave him in the link down below. And yeah, I'm Faye. I'll see you guys next time. And remember, let's mosey.
Problems. Just opportunities that haven't presented themselves.